You do know that the Inklings are 14 years old, right? I mean, what is wrong with these people? Nintendo has without a doubt the most iconic video game characters in the industry. Mario, Donkey Kong, Samus from Metroid, and Link from Zelda, just to mention a few. But we all know that they have been milking these franchises for some time without doing anything innovative or new. Well, some franchises got left to rot, but still they got some few games under their belts. And finally, they've got a new fantastic IP, Splatoon. Splatoon is a third-person shooter / paintball game that focuses more on the coloring of the ground, walls and other objects rather than shooting on the other players. Now when you first start up the game, this is what greets you. I've never seen that happen before when starting a new game, so I don't really know what to feel right now. It's new, I suppose? Anyway, after that confusion, you will create your own Inkling, which are one of the two races in this game. Now I will admit that I would have liked more options for customizing my character, as you only get to change gender and skin and eye color. Would have been nice to maybe get to change your face or anything like that. The same with the hair. For example, one of the Squid sisters, Marie, has this hairstyle, so why can't we have something like that? Plus, it would have been nice to play as the other race as well, the Octarians, as we can clearly see that they have their own Octolink form, who have the most awesome hairstyle ever. They even have their own squid form, or octopus form in their case. Though since the story shows the Octarians more in the evil light, then I can understand that it would be kind of strange to be playing as an Octoling or an Octarian through that mode, which is the first thing we will talk about, the hero mode. Once you finish your character and a very good tutorial level, you will be sent to the hub world, Inkopolis, which is the capital city for the Inklings. The game shows you all of the modes you can play. After that, the story mode will be hinted at by the already mentioned Squid Sisters, who, in my opinion, could have very well been the mascots for this game. They are like superstars because of their singing and stuff like that, but they also have a news broadcast and they're telling the people of Inkopolis that the great sapfish has disappeared, which is pretty much the Inklings' source for electricity. When the game showed you all of the modes, it showed you this guy. And if you enter the sewers, you will get to the Octarians' home, Octo Valley. There, Captain Cuttlefish will tell you some spiel on how the Octarians have returned, and that it's their fault of the disappearance of the great sapfish. Then he will give you some single-player only gear for your adventure through the story mode. Octo Valley is in itself a hub world for every single stage that you will play through in the story mode. There are 5 areas in Octo Valley. All of them are a bit separated from each other, and you can unlock every single of these areas once you have completed one of them by obviously beating all of the stages and the boss. Now the first area, or the first levels, are pretty much a tutorial, or a second tutorial that will teach you how to traverse the world, of the different enemy types, and also how to use special attacks and special abilities that I will talk about a bit later on. Now in full, the entire single player has 27 levels or stages and 5 bosses. Now this sounds, a bit on the shorter side, and it is, the story mode isn't that long, but every stage is about 10 minute-ish to beat, and the bosses are absolutely amazing. Every single stage, including the bosses, also have hidden collectibles called Sunken Scrolls, which pretty much gives you some information of the two races, some comical ones making fun of gamers and etc. They're very well hidden, and requires you to look closely around the stage to find them, except the bosses, excluding the final one, where they will just give you the scroll at the end of the fight, though they are actually blueprints for items to buy for the multiplayer sections, giving you some neat stuff for the online mode by playing through the story. I highly recommend that you do not play the stages in chronological order, as they do follow a pattern. The first few levels will always be platforming ones. After that there will be shooting ones, and the final one will be against this huge enemy that's able to shoot everywhere on the stage, so you have to be in squid form to kind of sneak through the stages to meet him as a mini-boss type. But seriously, you can play through the story just for the bosses, they're absolutely amazing. And the final boss? Holy mother of dubstep, is this a fantastic final boss. I haven't played such an awesome encounter in any Nintendo game in quite a long time. It's 10 minutes, it has fantastic scenery, the soundtrack, all of the faces to go through, everything is pitch perfect. And I'm really happy that I didn't spoil myself or anything like that, because absolutely this is something that you need to see for yourself without any spoil. You need to play through it and just enjoy it. And the story mode is very fun. It is worth playing through. As I said before, very short. I beat it on in exactly 3 hours and 15 seconds. And it also do have some negatives, you know, except for the length of the story mode. The first problem is with the hub world itself. You need to find these entrances to the stages, which are invisible until you shoot at them with your gun. But where this could be a great way to make the player explore the Octarians' homeworld, there isn't anything to find or collect or anything like that, making it pretty useless to have them hidden in the first place. I looked for the final stage for more than 5 minutes, and instead of feeling adventurous in Octo Valley, I got impatient and annoyed. The music is also repeated quite a lot. You won't realize it the first hour or so, but eventually you will hear the same tune. Though the music is in the category of very hard to get tired of it, so it won't bother you, but you will eventually just hear it. Another problem is the fact that you can't backtrack in the stages, so if you want to find all the sunken scrolls, but you got a bit too far in the stage, you'll have to start all over again. I guess this is more of a nitpick, but I really started to enjoy finding the sunken scrolls, and yeah, it just got quite annoying. So a few annoyances for the single player or the story mode of the game, but as I said, the bosses, all of the bosses are so neat in the typical Nintendo fashion, and the final boss is, the whole story mode is worth playing through just to meet him. But anyway, when you buy Splatoon, you don't do it for the single player, you do it for the multiplayer. And well, before we can go into that, we actually need to talk about the gameplay first, obviously, so you can understand, you know, what's the point. And how is the gameplay? Amazing, fantastic, and beautiful. So it is, as I said, a third-person shooter. You have a single weapon of your choice, and depending on what weapon that is, you will get a certain grenade that uses around 70% of your ink, and a special ability that can only be used when a bar has been filled up. And to do that, you need to spray ink all over the stage and kill opponents. Though the most interesting mechanic is that you can turn into a squid at any time by pressing the ZL button. When in squid form, you will fill up your ink container, you'll be much faster, and you'll be able to climb up walls to get to platforms and other unreachable by walking places. And if you're standing still as a squid, you will be in stealth mode. However, if you are in squid form on a regular terrain without ink or on the enemy's ink, you will be much slower, and since you are a different color than the enemy, it is extremely easy to spot you. Now, I said that depending on your weapon, you will get specific sub-weapons, and what I can say about the selection of the firearms is that there are variations to the guns. You do have the regular machine gun that has a great firing rate but doesn't do that much damage. Then you have the sniper-esque gun that gives you reach and damage but requires time to ready a single shot. There is a huge paintbrush that allows you to paint a lot of ground much more efficiently than the other weapons, but it doesn't have any reach, making you vulnerable against the enemies with guns. And there are a lot of variations to these weapon types, mostly around the fact on what sub-weapons you'll have. Some grenades will explode ink on impact with the ground or the enemy, another one will stick to the surface for a second before exploding, and another will bounce and move around before, again, exploding. There are also other more strategic sub-weapons, like a shield that won't let the enemies shoot through it, but you can. There are also the special abilities, which can all be all from a bazooka that takes a lot of damage, a shield which shields you from damage, a sensorish thing that shows you where the enemies are, even the ones in squid form, and few more, even becoming the Kraken. So a lot of weapon customization. Now you can also buy clothes for the purpose of improving something with your Inkling. For example, I bought a shirt for my Inkling that boosts my damage output for the weapon. Now, where this sounds like it could create a depth to the game, strategically thinking what items and equipment you can buy, they don't. It isn't that deep. Now the main problem is the fact that the shirt I bought has now 2 buffs, and that is to increase my damage and increase my damage. But the thing is, it doesn't tell me how much damage it increases. So for all I know, they might just do 1 more point of damage. Or 10, I don't know, it doesn't tell me. Plus, there's a lot of buffs or whatever, like becoming invisible when you're in squid form, like completely invisible even when you're moving around, yet at the cost of being a bit slower, being faster movement speed, but being a bit more, you know, fragile and stuff like that. But again, it doesn't tell you just how much it improves. Now, what they should do in an update is to, like for example, when you look at the weapon you bought, you can see these 3 bars: firing rate, damage, and accuracy. Now, these are green, they're green bars. Now, what they should do in update is to maybe create like a color coding or something like that, where you can see that orange is like extended from damage because I have the shirt, right? So that's something they really should consider, because then they're creating a new depth to the game that really will help everything out pretty much. The stores updates daily with new stuff, and the weapon shop updates when you get a higher level, as you do start off as a small selection in the store. Though if you can't find a piece of clothing in the shop, but a player in the hub world has what you want, you can go to the alley and ask Spike to find that for you, and there is a chance that he'll have it the day after you'll ask for it. For a price, of course. But let's get into the main mode that you will play the most, the online. The online holds 2 main modes, one of them being locked until you hit level 10. Player match, which is turf war, and ranked match, which is Splatoon. Both of these modes are 4 versus 4, and the stages are symmetrical, giving both teams the same chance, if you look past the corrupt Judge Judd.
So... Alright, Judd, there is 0 paint on this floor. Judd.
Play match or turf war is all about inking the stage so that your team's color hold the majority of the stage. This game isn't about killing the other team or whatever, as the respawn time is almost non-existent. And that's pretty much the player match. I'm not kidding, it is extremely simple. Just spray ink everywhere. Now, every match lasts extremely short, it's about 3 minutes, and getting into a match is much faster, so it's not like wait a long time for a quick match, so don't worry about that. Ranked match or Splat Zone is about controlling one certain area from the team. You control the area by obviously having your ink spilt all over that zone, and when you control it, a timer will start to clock down from 99 to 0, and if that happens, you'll win by knockout. If you end up waiting a long time in, you know, the lobby for a couple of players or whatever, then there is this minigame you can play on the gamepad. This is beautiful. Thank you, Nintendo. It's so fun. It's a very basic minigame, obviously, just jumping up and trying to get higher and higher until you reach the goal, but still it's a good way to waste time waiting for players. Now, I don't like to end a review on a negative note, but there are a few things I need to talk about. Okay, for one, you can't change your equipment when in a lobby, as you have to leave and then re-equip. Another thing is that if there are some waiting before a match and it seems like no one is coming to the group of players, you can't leave, strangely enough. There is no voice connection in the game, so don't expect to be able to talk to your team in any way. And finally, right now, there aren't that many stages, and considering that the matches are so short, expect to see the same stage quite a bit. Though they have been saying that there will be tons of new free stages in the future, so there's that. Though this is one smooth online connection. There is no lag whatsoever. I have not had one match with lag, okay? This has been one of the most smoothest online experiences ever. Now, there's only been one game that I got a disconnection, and that was very early. I think it was day 1 with Splatoon. And while I have mentioned a few faults with the game, those doesn't hold back the game at all for the fun, addictive experience this game brings you. And therefore, Splatoon gets a 7 out of 10. It is a fantastic game that can only be improved upon. Nintendo have said that there will be new free stages in the future, and once they're done with all the new stages and everything, there will be around 14 or 15 stages, which is a good number. And if that's the case and every stage holds something unique about them, I might bring it up to an 8 out of 10. I will definitely bring it up to an 8 out of 10 if they bring in the color coordination I talked about earlier, as it will create a new depth, but as it stands right now, it's a 7 out of 10. Nintendo, come out with an update with the clothing thing, so you can see obviously how much they improve your character. The new stages, keep going at that and make them all very good. New weapons, as we have seen you've been doing, as there's a new kind of paintbrush and the Nintendo light gun, the zapper. If you do that, then I will bring out a video just to say 8 out of 10. But anyway, I'm KingJGrim, or the King of Games, whatever you prefer, and I'll see you guys next time. Hi there! Thank you so much for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then you could like it, as it will definitely help this video to be seen by more people. And if you want to not be one of the more people and become one of the people, then please subscribe. If you're a bit unsure whether you should subscribe or not, then you can click on one of the videos to the right there and see some of the other stuff I've created. Now, what also you can do is to go see that little Twitter thing on the description below, or under. You can follow me on Twitter, the link is under. And there you can get all updates on whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm working on, etc. Anyway, I'm KingJGrim, or the King Games, whatever you prefer, and thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.